शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानामेकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹர. லோகவீர்யம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே ஜகதः பிதரௌ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரௌ. ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः. कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्ख कौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति ब्रह्मानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी द्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും ഇറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ട തോറും പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. All right, so let's see who all we have here. Okay. Who wants to do, Ushagaru, can you do 75 half?
Yeah.
And Meenu, can you do 75 other half?
Yes, yes, Rajesh. Dashakam 75.
One second. I think someone named Shanta Kumari, she needs to be on mute. I think she's speaking. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Shanti, okay.
Yeah, she muted. Yeah, thanks.
Kamsavadha Varnanam. Pratah santrasta bhoja kshitipati vachasa prastute mallaturye sanghe ragnancha manchanabhiyayushi gate nanda gopepi harnyam kamse saudadhirude swamapi saha balaswanugaccharu vesho rangadvaram gato bhuh kupita Rangadvaram gato bhuyu kupita kovalaya pidana gavalli. Sorry.
Naga, yeah.
Raga, yeah. Rangadvaram gato bhuh kupita kovalaya pidanaga validham पापिष्टापेहि मार्गा द्रुतमिति वचसा निष्ठूर क्रुद्धे बुद्धेः अम्बष्टस्य प्रणोदा अधिक जवजुषा हस्तिना गृह्यमाणः केलीमुक्तोधकोऽपि कुचल केलीमुक्तोदः केलीमुक्तोदा गोपी कुचकला शचिरस्पर्धिनं कुम्भमस्य व्याहत्याली यदास्त्वं चरणभुवि पुनर्निर्गतो वल्गहासी.
Sugar, you want to try the tune. I think maybe if you're saying the words correct, but if you're off tune, sometimes it may not land for you. The third one, hasta prapyopyagamhyo jhatiti munijanasyev dhavan gajendram. The third stanza.
Okay. Hastaprápyogamyo झटितमुनिजनस्येव धावन् गजेन्द्रं क्रीडन्नापात्य भूमौ पुनरपि पततस्तस्य दन्तं दन्तं सजीवं मूलादुन्मूल्य तन्मूलगमहितामहामौक्तिकान्यात्ममित्रे प्रातस्त्वं ఇక్కడ కంటిన్యూషన్
after pradastam comma
pradastam హారమేభిర్లలిత విరచితం రాధికాయై దిశేతి గృహ్ణానం దంతమంసే యుతమధాలినా రంగమంగా విశంతం త్వాం మంగళ్యాంగభంగీరవ సహృతమనోలోచనా వీక్ష్య లోకాః हम हो धन्योः हम हो धन्योः right
धन्यो हि नंदो
okay हम हो धन्यो हि नंदो sorry అక్కడ ఒక్కసారి
हम हो धन्यो हि नंदो नहि नहि पशुपालांगनाः नो यशोधा.
Okay. हम हो धन्योः नंदो नहि नहि पशुपालांगनाः नो यशोदा नो धन्ये क्षणस्मस्त्रिजगति वयमेवेति सर्वे शंसूः पूर्णं ब्रह्मैव साक्षात् निरवधि परमानंद सांद्रा प्रकाशम गोपेषु त्वं वल्यासीः न खलु बहुजनैस्तावादिवेदितो भूः दृष्ट्वा धत्वं तदेन्द्र प्रदमुपगते दृष्ट्वा दत्वं तदेन्दं प्रथममुपगते पुण्यकाले जनौघः पूर्णानन्दा विपापास् सरसमभिजगः स्वत्कृतानि smrutani.
Yeah, let's start here, Bhushagar. Minu, neenga solrela, like, or somebody else can do it.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'll try. चाणूरो मल्लवीरस्तदतु नृपगिरो मुष्टिको मुष्टिशाली त्वां रामञ्चाभिभेदे जटजटिति मिदो मुष्टिपादादिरुषम् उत्पादा அது யாவா இல்ல பாவா?
Pada, utpata.
No, utpada padava இல்ல யாதவா?
Patana karshana.
Oh, utpada அது யான்னு கொடுத்திருக்கேன். உத்பாதா பாதனா उत्पादा पादनाकर्षण विविध रणन्यासतां तत्र चित्रं मृत्यो प्रागेव मल्लप्रभुरगमदयं पूरिशो बन्धमोक्षान् हादिक्कष्टं कुमारौ सुललित वपुषौ मल्लवीरौ गडौरौ न द्रक्ष्यामो व्रजामस्त्रिविदमिति जने भाषमाणे ददानीं चाणूरं तं करोद्ब्राह्मण विगलतसुं बोधयामासिदोर्व्यां पिष्टो पून्मुष्टिगोपी धृतमत हलिना नष्टशिष्टैर्ददावे कंसः संवार्य दूर्यं कलमदिरविदन् कार्यमार्यान् पितॄंस्तान् आहन्तुं व्याप्तमूर्तेस्तव च समशिषद्दूरमुत्सारणाय रुष्टो दुष्टो दिपिस्त्वं गरुडैव गिरिं मञ्जन्नुदञ्जत् खड्गव्यावल्ग दुःसङ्गरहमभि चहडात् प्राग्रहीरौग्रसेनी सत्यो निष्पिष्टशन्तिं भुवि नरपतिमाबाद्य तस्योपरीक्षात् द्वय्यापाद्ये तदैव त्वदुपरिपदिना नागिनां पुष्पवृष्टिः
Patita, second line, त्वदुपरि patita नाकिना.
पतिता नागिनां पुष्पवृष्टिः किं ब्रूमस्तादीनीं सततमभिभिया त्वद्गदात्मा सभेचे सायुज्यं त्वत्पदोत्त परमपरमियं वासनाकालनेमिः
नेमेः
कालनेमेः तत्प्राद्रूनष्टपिष्ट्वा धृतमतवितरौ सन्नमन्नुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैर्यतुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामदानैः भक्तानामुत्तमञ्जोत्तमम् Amara, right?
Amara Guru.
Huh?
Yeah, correct. Amara Gurur.
Yeah. Amara Guru Rabdanidim Sagayam Labdva Dushto Nagaryam Pavanapurapate Rundime Sarvarogan.
And the fourth line button, after Sakayam and then after Labdva, there is a comma. So Sakayam Labdva, comma.
Oh, na
Sakayam Nagaryam, comma.
Okay. Sorry, Sagayam kapro comma put. Yeah, okay.
Sakayam plus Labdva and then comma. Okay.
Plus, okay.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay. So let's start 76 today. So let's see here. Sundari, you can be a student, and Shanti, you can be a student first off. So 76 is Uddhava Dutya Varnanam. So this is Uddhava is going as a Dutya, is going as a messenger. one of my very favorite chapters because it talks, it's one of, like we said, like Narayaneeyam, there are some chapters which are devoted to the incarnations. Some of it are talking about just pure bhakti of people. So this is one such chapter, right? Stanza 1. Gatva sandhipanimata chaturshashtimatrairahobihi sarvajnastvam sahamusalina sarvavidyam grihitva putram nashtam yamanilayanadahritam dakshinartam datva tasmai nijapuramagaha nadayan panchajanyam. So we saw at the end of last chapter about how the Kamsa Vadam happened, right? And once Kamsa was gotten rid of, then of course Vasudeva, Devaki are now completely free. And Krishna then established Vasudeva, the Kamsa's father Ugrasena as the ruler of the Yadavas, and he made him the king of Mathura, right? And all the regions surrounding that. Now, all these days, Krishna was in Vrindavan. Everybody thought that he was a Vaishya. So now everybody comes to know that he's actually the son, he's a part of the Kshatriya clan under Devaki and Vasudeva. So they said, hey, if you're going to be Kshatriya, you should actually have the appropriate education, right? Otherwise, people are going to say, how can you become a ruler, Krishna, if you haven't gone through the education process, right? So the mother realized you're 11 years old and you haven't studied anything in Vrindavan. You've just been grazing cows, right? So they said it's time to send Krishna and Balarama to school, right? Although Krishna and Balarama, of course, they know everything, but of course, one person said in one thing that, hey, if Krishna and Balarama didn't go to school, all the kids will say, hey, Krishna didn't go to school. Why will I go to school? So they said, okay, you're going to go to school. So they went to this ashramam called as Sandipani's ashram. Sandipani is a rishi who had a university, ashramam there, where all the kids used to go to study. So as a king, you're supposed to know, you have to be like a jack of all trades, right? So there are 64 types of skills one is supposed to learn, or at least you are supposed to learn one type of skill when you go to that university, right? So that's why here it's actually says Chaturshashti. In Tamil, they have Aya Kalai, Aravatinalu, they say in Tamil. So the 64 types of skills you need to have. So Krishna and Balarama went there and they learned all the 64. People normally take up one skill, but they learned all 64 in 64 days. So that's why it says in one day you learned one entire skill. And then that's where they actually meet a friend called as Sudama, who we are going to see later, right? So they finished all that. And now when the course is done, in 64 days, Krishna and Balarama finish it. And they go to the Guru and say, Guru Sandipani, what can I give you as a Guru Dakshina? So the Guru says, I don't want anything, but you ask my wife. And his wife says that we had a son. That son actually died. So she uses the word died, but he's actually not quite dead. He was lost. So he went to the Western Ocean, the sea, and then the son was lost in the Western Ocean. So Guru's wife says she knows the power of Krishna and Balarama. So she says, let me ask for whatever I can, right? She says, you please bring me back my son. So Krishna and Balarama then go to the Western coast, and there they find out that there is an Asura called a Shankasura. This Shankasura, in some places they say he's in the form of a conch, that's why Shankam, or he rides in something which is like a conch. Okay, so he's anyways underwater. So this the son of the Rishi Sandipani ended up going to the Western coast. There he got drowned or something, but he's lost right now. So Krishna and Balarama go in search of him and rescue that son and bring him back, that son, as a Guru Dakshina to his Guru. So this story is referred later. Just remember this. This story is referred later in 88th Dashakam when we talk about Santana Gopalopakyanam. When Devaki says, you helped your Guru get his son back, get my sons also back, right? She'll refer to the story at that point. Anyway, so he brings back a conch. So that conch is called as Panchajanyam. That's how that conch is. Like when Krishna takes birth, all his accompaniments also take birth, right? So this Panchajanyam is coming. This conch is now coming, and that conch with that the Rishi, the Guru then blesses Krishna and Balarama, and then they come back to Mathura. So that's all of that is condensed in this one stanza here. So Gatva Sandipanimatha, Chatush Shashti Matraira Hobihi, Sarvajnastvam Saha Musalina, Sarva Vidyam. Some books have just Sarva Vidya. You put the im there, Sarva Vidyam Grihitva. Gatva Sandhipanimata Chatush Shashti Matrairaho Bihi Sarvajnastvam Saha Musalina Sarva Vidyam Grihitva.
दत्वा सान्दीपनिमथ चतुष्षष्टिमात्रैरहोभिः सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सह मुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वा दत्वा सान्दीपनिमथ चतुष्षष्टिमात्रैरहोभिः सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सह मुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वा
गत्वा सान्दीपनिमद चतुष्षष्टिमात्रैरहोभिः सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सह मुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वा गत्वा सान्दीपनिमद चतुष्षष्टिमात्रैरहोभिः सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सह मुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वा
Putram nashtam, comma, yama nilayanad ahritam. If you want to break that, yama nilayanad ahritam dakshinartham, comma, datva tasmai nija puramagaha. Then put a comma. If you don't have a visarga, put a visarga there. Nija puramagaha, comma, nadayan panchajanyam. Putram nashtam yamanilayanad ahritam dakshinartham datva tasmai nijapuramagaha nadayan panchajanyam.
पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिलयनाद् आहृतं दक्षिणार्थं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरमगाः नादयन् पाञ्चजन्यम् पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिलयनादाहृतं दक्षिणार्थं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरमगाः नादयन् पाञ्चजन्यम्
पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिलयना दाहृदं दक्षिणार्थं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरमगाः नादयन् पाञ्चजन्यम्.
Shanti, in the third line after putram nashtam, there is a comma, okay?
Okay. पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिलयना दाहृदं दक्षिणार्थं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरमगाः नादयन् पाञ्चजन्यम्.
Answer 2. Smritva smritva pashupasudrushah prema bhara pranunnaha karunyena tvamapi vivashah prahinor uddhavam tam kinchamushmai paramasuhrude bhaktavaryayata bhaktyutrekam sakala bhuvane durlabham darshayishyen. So the end of the last chapter, we also got introduced to a character, right, called as Uddhava. So we said, Uddhava, Krishna, you found in Uddhava a very close friend who is a disciple of Brihaspati himself. So he's a very learned person, Uddhava. So this Uddhava became such a devotee and a close friend of Krishna that he was with Krishna all the time. So we see this even in our life, right? When somebody is so attached to a film actor or a sports hero, then they start mimicking their behavior. They start dressing up like him. So even growing up, I had a small cousin who was a fan of Rajinikanth. So he used to always, take his glasses and he used to throw it up in the air, right? And then so people used to, we used to all make, when the fan was running, we used to think Rajinikanth can throw the, glasses up in the air when the fan is running and all that, and he used to break. So he used to be dressing up like him. So Uddhava was like that. He was in love with Krishna and he used to dress up like Krishna, imitate Krishna, behave like Krishna. And sometimes when you start doing a lot of that, you become very proud because everybody's like, hey, Uddhava, you are just like Krishna, right? I cannot see the difference between you and Krishna. So then what happens is you get a pride. Hey, I'm also like Krishna. And we're going to see a few more characters who are going to come later also about similar to this, right? Anyway, but Uddhava was a very nice, learned person, right? So Uddhava once went and told Krishna that, hey, look, I have learned from Brihaspati. I have learned all these Vedas. I've learned all this, various scriptures, Upanishads I have learned, but somehow my devotion is not being recognized, right? That was the concern that Uddhava had. He says, for the amount of devotion and knowledge I have, I should be like a Maharishi, but I'm not given that, Pattam, I'm not given the title of a Maharishi, right? So Krishna then tells Uddhava, okay, that's true. He says, you know what, I need a help from you. Maybe if you can do that. He says, after I left Vrindavan, these Gopikas have been like thinking about me all the time. And as you know, I haven't gone back at all to Vrindavan. So he says, I'll give you a message. You take this message and then you go give it to the Gopikas, right? That because you know me very well now. and you know what I'm going through, so you can maybe go communicate that message to the Gopikas. So with that, Krishna, you send Uddhava to Vrindavan to send a message to the Gopikas. So who themselves are bhaktyudrekam, who themselves are great devotees of you. So you wanted Uddhava to go meet your other devotees to see how devoted they are, right? Bhattacharya doesn't push this too much in terms of this messaging, because Uddhava is a very great devotee, like I said, and he's the one who eventually ends up carrying the Krishna idol when Krishna departs the earth, like I said last time. So Bhattacharya just skims over it, but Bhagavatam talks about a little bit more detail, right, about why Uddhava is sent to Vrindavan and all that stuff. Smritva pashupa sudrushaha, comma, prema bhara pranunnaha, comma, karunyena twamapi vivashaha, comma, prahinor uddhavam tam. Smritva pashupa sudrushaha, prema bhara pranunnaha, karunyena twamapi vivashaha, prahinor uddhavam tam.
स्मृत्वा पशुपसुदृशः प्रेमभारप्रणुन्नाः कारुण्येन त्वमपि विवशः प्राहिणोरुद्धवं तम्. स्मृत्वा पशुपसुदृशः प्रेमभारप्रणुन्नाः कारुण्येन त्वमपि विवशः प्राहिणोरुद्धवं तम्.
स्मृत्वा पशुपसुदृशः प्रेमभारप्रणुन्नाः कारुण्येन त्वमपि विलसः प्राहिणोरुद्धवं तम्.
The second line, vivashaha. Second line. Twamapi vivashaha.
स्मृत्वा पशुपसुदृशः प्रेमभारप्रणुन्नाः कारुण्येन त्वमपि विवसः प्राहिणोरुद्धवं तम्.
Kincha mushmai parama suhrude bhakta varyaya tasam, and then a comma, that line continues. Bhaktyudrekam sakala bhuvane durlabham darshayishyan. Kincha mushmai parama suhrude bhakta varyaya tasam bhaktyudrekam sakala bhuvane durlabham darshayishyan.
किञ्चामुष्मै परमसुहृदे भक्तवर्याय तासां भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दर्शयिष्यन्. किञ्चामुष्मै परमसुहृदे भक्तवर्याय तासां भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दर्शयिष्यन्.
किञ्चामुष्मै परमसुहृते भक्तवर्याय दासां भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दर्शयिष्यन्. किञ्चामुष्मै परमसुहृदे भक्तवर्याय दासां भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दर्शयिष्यन्.
त्वन्माहात्म्य प्रतिमपिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ताभिर्बहुसरमयामास नन्दं यशोधां प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरतं शङ्किताः पङ्कजाक्ष्यः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्याः समीयुः. So when Uddhava now comes, he comes to Vrindavan, but the word Gokulam is used here, because it's like, when the people of England moved to US, they started calling it New England, right? Similar to that, when the Gokulam people moved to Vrindavan, they also referred very loosely as Gokulam, because they are all cowherds at the end of the day. So when Uddhava comes there, he looks at the prosperity of the region. It says it's the indication of your greatness, Krishna, because you have lived in Vrindavan. So of course, that region is extremely prosperous. And Uddhava comes there in the evening time. So not many notice, because everybody's coming back from after grazing the cows and everything. So he quietly is able to enter the town, and then he goes to Nandagopa's house. And Nandagopa and Yashoda welcome him, and they kind of ask, and they say the usual thing that parents, because they are also parents, so they say, what, Krishna there's no contact from Krishna. Ever since he's left, we have not heard back from Krishna at all, right? So he says, hope everything is well. and Krishna is, then Uddhava, of course, updates them of everything that is happening and how Krishna is settled there now in Mathura, and, is helping out. All of those details he's communicating. So one of the chapters which we didn't see this time, but we're going to see the next time, is when Kamsa actually sends Akrura to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balarama to Mathura before it comes in the 73rd chapter, 72 and 73. So these Gopikas, when they had seen that this chariot had come, they thought Akrura has come again. So these Gopikas don't like Akrura because Akrura was the one who came and took Krishna and Balarama away from them. Right? So when they saw this chariot, a very well adorned, decorated chariot, which was waiting outside Nandagopa's house, then this was the next morning, right? Because they had not seen it the previous night. So they all thought maybe Akrura has come again. And they were very hopeful that maybe Akrura brought Krishna back this time. So they all then come to Nandagopa's house in the morning, leaving all their duties to see if Krishna has come back. Twan Mahatmya Pratima Pishunam, Gokulam Prapya Sayam, Twadvartabhir Bahu Sa Ramayamasa Nandam Yashodam. Twan Mahatmya Pratima Pishunam Gokulam Prapya Sayam, Twadvartabhir Bahu Sa Ramayamasa Nandam Yashodam.
त्वन्माहात्म्य प्रतिम पिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ताभिर्बहुसरमयामास नन्दं यशोदाम् त्वन्माहात्म्य प्रतिम पिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ताभिर्बहुसरमयामास नन्दं यशोदाम्
त्वन्माहात्म्य प्रतिम पिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ताभिर्बहुसरमया मासनन्दं यशोदाम् त्वन्माहात्म्य प्रतिम पिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ताभिर्बहुसरमया मासनन्दं बहुसरमया मासनन्दं यशोदाम्.
And the Shanti in the first line la Pratima Pishunam Sha sound. Adhe mari Yashodam is Sha there, okay? The Pishunam and Yashodam. Pratar Drishtva Manimaya Ratham, Shankitaha, put a F Shankitaf Pankajakshaha, Shrutva Praptam Bhavadhanucharam, Tyakta Karyaha, put is Tyakta Karyas Samiyuhu. Pratar Drishtva Manimaya-ratham Shankitaf Pankajakshyah Shrutva Praptam Bhavadanucharam Tyakta Karyas Samiyuhu.
प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरथं शङ्किताः पङ्कजाक्षः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्याः समीयुः प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरथं शङ्किताः पङ्कजाक्षः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्याः समीयुः
प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरथं सङ्गिताः पङ्कजाक्षयः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्याः समीयुः.
And the Shanti, the third line, last word, Pankajakshyah, a Jaksha, full, not full Ksha, just a Iksh, Jakshyah.
Pankajakshyah.
Yeah.
Okay. प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरथं सङ्गिताः पङ्कजाक्षयः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्याः समीयुः.
Stanza 4. Drishtva chainam twadupamalasad-veshabhushabhiramam smritva tava velasitan yuchchakaistani ruddha lapaha katamapi punargadgatam vachamuchuhu saujanyadhin nijaparabhidam apyalam vismarantyah. So when these Gopikas go there the next morning, abandoning all the work they have, looking to see Krishna, but they see somebody who's very similar to Krishna look-wise. So they see Uddhava there, and they look at Uddhava and say, you know what, he looks like Krishna, he has long arms like Krishna, his eyes are like Krishna now, he's also wearing the same yellow garment that Krishna wears, He's also wearing the same, garland that Krishna wears and same types of earrings, exactly like Krishna. So when they see that, then of course that triggers more memories and more concerns for Gopikas, right? Because first of all, they're really missing Krishna, and now they see somebody who's exactly like that. So they immediately start crowding around Uddhava and they take him to the side and then ask him, who is he, right? But first of all, even before that, Bhattacharya says that they are gadgadam, they are completely choked with tears because they are not able to see Krishna. So they're asking Uddhava about Krishna and where is he, why he's not coming, and what is happening. And it says women talk at that time, at least those times, they talk with certain manners. But here, this Gopikas did not even have any of that because they were like so torn that they did not worry about crying, they did not worry about holding their thoughts, and they were really asking Uddhava as to where Krishna is. Drishtva chainam twadupama lasad vesha bhushabhiramam, smritva tava velasitan yuchakais. You can't break it, so we say it together. Velasitan yuchakais tani tani. Short is Drishtva chainam twadupamalasat vesha bhushabhiramam smritva tava velasitan yuchakais tani tani.
दृष्ट्वा चैनं त्वदुपमलसद्वेषभूषाभिरामं स्मृत्वा तव विलसितान् युच्चकैस्तानि तानि दृष्ट्वा चैनं त्वदुपमलसद्वेषभूषाभिरामं स्मृत्वा तव विलसितान् युच्चकैस्तानि तानि
दृष्ट्वा चैनं वदुपमलसद्वेषभूषाभिरामं स्मृत्वा धव विलसितान्युच्चकैस्तानि तानि दृष्ट्वा चैनं वदुपमलसद्वेषभूषाभिरामं स्मृत्वा धव विलसितान्युच्चकैस्तानि तानि
रुद्धा लापाः, कथमपि पुनर् gadgadam vachamuchuhu, saujanyadin nija para bhidam appyalam. If you want to break it, you can break it, Dhamma. Bhidam appyalam bismarantyah. Ruddha lapah katamapi punar gadgadam vachamuchuhu saujanyadin nija para bhidam appyalam bismarantyah.
रुद्धालापाः कथमपि पुनर्गद्गदां वाचमूचुः सौजन्यादीन् निजपरभिदाम् अप्यलं विस्मरन्त्यः रुद्धालापाः कथमपि पुनर्गद्गदां वाचमूचुः सौजन्यादीन् निजपरभिदाम् अप्यलं विस्मरन्त्यः
रुद्धालाभाः कथमपि पुनर्गद्गदां वाचमूचुः सौजन्यादीन् निजपरपिताम् अभ्यलं विस्मरन्त्यः रुद्धालाभाः कथमपि पुनर्गद्गदां वाचमूचुः सौजन्यादीन् निजपरपिताम् अभ्यलं विस्मरन्त्यः विस्मरन्त्यः
श्रीमन् किं त्वं पितृजनकृते प्रेषितो निर्दयेन क्वासौ कान्तो नगरसुदृशाम् आहरे नाथ पाह्याः आश्लेषानाम् अमृतवपुषो हन्त मे चुम्बनानाम् उन्मादानाम् कुहकवचसाम् विस्मरेत् कान्तकाभा. So the gopis ask Shriman, oh Kim Tvam, oh Shriman, who are you? You look exactly like Krishna. We feel like you are like a close companion or an associate of Krishna, and maybe Krishna himself has actually sent you here. And they say, I think most probably he sent you to go and give update to his parents, because ever since Krishna has left and he's gone from this village, he's gone to the city of Mathura. He's completely forgotten all his, the cowherd friends that he used to have here, because now he's gone to the city. So he seems to have completely ignored about us. And they give examples of how once a tree no longer has fruits, the birds abandon the tree, and how, you know, the animals abandon a forest which has been burned down. They say Krishna has abandoned us. He's never come back at all here, and nobody has come to talk about Krishna as well. So looks like you have now come, and maybe you have come to just meet his parents, right? And then they start talking about, you know, all the things that Krishna used to do and how they miss Krishna and everything. And they complain to Uddhava how Krishna has not gotten back at all. Shriman Kim Tvam, comma, Pitr Janakrite Preshito Nirdayena, comma, Kwasau Kanto Nagara Sudrusham, comma, Ha Hare Natha Payaha. Shriman Kim Tvam Pitr Janakrite Preshito Nirdayena, Kwasau Kanto Nagara Sudrusham, Ha Hare Natha Payaha.
श्रीमन् किं त्वं पितृजनकृते प्रेषितो निर्दयेन क्वासौ कान्तो नगरसुदृशां हा हरे नाथपायाः श्रीमन् किं त्वं पितृजनकृते प्रेषितो निर्दयेन क्वासौ कान्तो नगरसुदृशां हा हरे नाथपायाः
श्रीमन् किं त्वं पितृजनकृते प्रेषितो निर्दयेन क्वासौ कान्दो नगरसुदृशां हा हरे नादपायाः श्रीमन् किं त्वं पितृजनकृते प्रेषितो निर्दयेन क्वासौ कान्दो नगरसुदृशां हा हरे नादपायाः
Ashleshanam Amrita. You can break at that ma. Ashleshanam Amrita Vapusho Hanta Me Chumbananam. Put a im at the end of that line, comma. Next line, that mu becomes u. Unmadanam Kuhaka Vachasam, comma. Bismaret Kanta Kava. Ashleshanam Amrita Vapusho Hanta Me Chumbananam. Unmadhanam kuhaka vachasam vismaret kantakava.
आश्लेषाणाम् अमृतवपुषो हन्त मे चुम्बनानाम् उन्मादानां कुहकवचसां विस्मरेत् कान्तकावा आश्लेषाणाम् अमृतवपुषो हन्त मे चुम्बनानाम् उन्मादानां कुहकवचसां विस्मरेत् कान्तकावा
आश्लेषाणाम् अमृतवपुषो हन्त मे चुम्बनानाम् उन्मादानां गुहकवचसां विस्मरेद्गान्धकावा आश्लेषाणाम् अमृतवपुषो हन्त मे चुम्बनानाम् उन्मादानां गुहकवचसां विस्मरेद्गान्धकावा.
Answer 6. Rasakwidha lulita lalitam Vishslatat keshapasham Mandodbhinnashramajalakaranam Lobhaniyam twadangam Karunyabdhe sakritapi samalingitum darshayeti Premonmadad bhuvana madana Twatpriyastvam vilepuhu. So Twatpriya, people who are very dear to you, they are vilepu, they are lamenting to Uddhava here more, right? So there is some very beautiful portion in Bhagavatam, I think it's the Dashama Skandam 47th chapter, where one of the Gopikas, she sees a honey bee which is actually coming. So when they're sitting and talking with Uddhava and lamenting about Krishna, so she sees a honey bee which is coming there, and then she composes a beautiful song thinking of the honeybee as a messenger, because sometimes, you know, as ladies, she may not be able to tell it to Uddhava directly, right? So she now talks to the honeybee as if the honeybee is a messenger, telling the honeybee that you have come here, oh honeybee, you have come, my you know, most favorite person, Krishna has sent you. So what is he up to? And then she's kind of having that conversation with the honeybee. It's called the Song of the Bee. That is the title of the chapter. So she, anyway, they all tell Uddhava about how, you know, when Krishna was there, he used to do all these things. They used to miss him, and they used to, you know, they've seen him grow up, and they have spent time with him. And there's a portion before the Rasa Krida, which we'll cover in the next session, which talks about the Gopika's love for Krishna. And we kind of skipped it this time, but we'll go through it in detail the next time, where we talk about how they miss him and how they used to always think about him. So they keep, you know, recounting all of those memories and then talk about, whether Krishna also feels the same, because they are worried that they are having the feelings and Krishna doesn't think about them anyway. So they are all kind of lamenting about you to Uddhava here. So Rasa Krida Lulita Lalitam, comma, Vishlathat Kesha Pasham, comma, Mandodbhinna Shramajala Kanam, comma, Lobhaniyam Twadangam. Rasa Krida Lulita Lalitam Vishlathat Kesha Pasham Mandodbhinna Shramajala Kanam Lobhaniyam Twadangam.
रासक्रीडालुलितललितं विश्लथत्केशपाशं मन्दोद्भिन्नश्रमजलकणं लोभनीयं त्वदङ्गं रासक्रीडालुलितललितं विश्लथत्केशपाशं मन्दोद्भिन्नश्रमजलकणं लोभनीयं त्वदङ्गम्
रासक्रीडालुलितललितं विस्लतत्केशभाषं मन्दोद्भिन्नस्रमजलकणं लोभनीयं त्वदङ्गम् रासक्रीडालुलितललितं विस्लतत्केशभाषं मन्दोद्भिन्नस्रमजलकणं लोभनीयं त्वदङ्गम्
कारुण्याब्धे सकृदपि समालिंगितुं दर्शयेति, comma, प्रेमोन्मादात् भुवन मदन, comma, त्वत्प्रियास् त्वां विलेपुः. कारुण्याब्धे सकृदपि समालिंगितुं दर्शयेति प्रेमोन्मादात् भुवन मदन त्वत्प्रियास् त्वां विलेपुः.
कारुण्याब्धे सकृदपि समालिङ्गितुं दर्शयेति प्रेमोन्मादात् भुवनमदन त्वत्प्रियास्त्वां विलेपुः कारुण्याब्धे सकृदपि समालिङ्गितुं दर्शयेति प्रेमोन्मादात् भुवनमदन त्वत्प्रियास्त्वां विलेपुः
कारुण्याब्धे सकृदपि समालिङ्गितुं दर्शयेति प्रेमान्मादात् भुवनमदन त्वत्प्रियास्त्वां विलेपुः कारुण्याब्धे सकृदपि समालिङ्गितुं दर्शयेति प्रेमान्मादात्.
Sorry, Shanti, and the fourth line, first word, प्रेमोन्मादात्.
प्रेमोन्मादात् भुवनमदन त्वत्प्रियास्त्वां विलेपुः.
Answer 7. एवं प्रायैर्विवशवचनैः आकुला गोपिकास्तास्त्वत्सन्देशैः प्रकृतिमनयत् सोतविज्ञानगर्भैः भूयस्ताभिर्मुदितमतिभिः त्वन्मयीभिर्वधूभिः तत्तद्वार्ता सरसमनयत् कानिचित् वासराणि. So when they were complaining or mourning so much with despair and overwhelmed with grief, so Uddhava now decides to comfort the Gopikas. So each one has a way of comforting. So Uddhava, because he's a very knowledgeable person, like we said, he has learned from Brihaspati himself. So Bhattacharya says very well that Vijnana Garbhaihi. So he is kind of educating them, pregnant with spiritual knowledge, right? With the logic, with knowledge, he tries to educate the Gopikas. So he says, see, Gopikas, you are all attached to Krishna. I get it. But you don't realize that Krishna is the supreme God, right? So you are forgetting the divine nature of Krishna, about how he's omnipotent, omnipresent. You're missing that he's the Purushottama, right? And you are not realizing that he is, even the Vedas, Upanishads are all trying to describe Krishna, and you can just think about him, right? And you have to pursue the ultimate knowledge of how he is the Brahman. And without him, there is nothing that exists, right? And without understanding that, there's no meaning of life, right? You'll just go on with your regular duties, of your taking care of the cows and taking care of your family. And you're not getting the true knowledge because you're not understanding the Brahman aspect of Krishna. So he's going and educating and he says that everybody in this world, whether you are doing charity or you are actually doing austerities, prayers, by homam, by japam, and all these ways, you can actually reach the Lord, right? He says, so don't keep worrying that Krishna is not there in person with you, right? He says, you all are blessed that you all got to spend time with Krishna, which very few people are blessed with. However, this is the message Krishna has given me to tell you all. And then he narrates the message saying that Krishna has said that I am there in all of you. So I am the soul of all the creation. So I don't have to be in person to, for all of you to love me. You can just think about me. And, Krishna, it was a couple of examples he gives, how like, when somebody is not there, like a lover is not there, then the other lover really misses that person so much. Similarly, Krishna says, I departed from all of you. I moved away so that your love for me increases double fold. Because when I'm around, then you are all, you might just love me so much, but when I'm not there, you will end up missing me more. This is a message that he gives. Now, the Gopikas are, very normal cowherd women. Say they don't have the supreme knowledge. So Uddhava goes and explains the spiritual knowledge to the Gopikas. They don't quite get it, but they all understand the general thing, what Krishna is saying, that don't worry, I will be back. Just think about me all the time. And they all for now are, they say they're okay for now. So they then tell Uddhava, why don't you stay with us for some days and then go? So Uddhava then decides to stay in Vrindavan I think he stays for 30 days or 60 days or something like that. He decides to stay back in Vrindavan to observe what is happening, right? So evam prayed vivasha vachanaihi. The ra that is there, remove it, put a visarga comma, vachanaihi. Next one becomes akula gopikas ta, and then you put a plus. And then the is from the next line joins with this. So gopikas tas tvat sandeshaihi, put a f, sandeshai prakritim anayat, comma. So one comma after vachanaihi in the first line, and everything else is continuous. Prakritim anayat, comma. Sota vijnana garbhaihi. Evam prahair vivasha vachanaihi. Akula gopikas tvat sandeshai prakriti manayate sota vijnana garbhaihi.
एवं प्रायैर्विवशवचनैः आकुला गोपिकास्तास्त्वत्सन्देशैः प्रकृतिमनयत् सोऽथ विज्ञानगर्भैः एवं प्रायैर्विवशवचनैः आकुला गोपिकास्तास्त्वत्सन्देशैः प्रकृतिमनयत् सोऽथ विज्ञानगर्भैः
एवं वसनैः आकुला गोपिकास्तास्त्वत्सन्देशैः प्रकृतिमनयत् सोदविज्ञानगर्भैः.
In the first line, la vivasha vachanaihi, cha sound, okay?
Vachanaihi, okay. Evam prayaiर्विवशवचनैः आकुला गोपिकास्तास् त्वत्सन्देशैः प्रकृतिमनयत् सोदविज्ञानगर्भैः.
Bhuyastabhir mudita matibihi, that is there, put a visarga comma, matibihi. Twan mayibhir vadubihi, again visarga comma. Next line is goes away. Tathat varta sarasamanayat kanichit vasarani, short e. Bhuyastabhir mudita matibihi. त्वन्मयीभिर्वधूभिः तत्तद्वार्ता सरसमनयत् कानिचित् वासराणि.
भूयस्ताभिर्मुदितमतिभिः त्वन्मयीभिर्वधूभिः तत्तद्वार्ता सरसमनयत् कानिचिद्वासराणि भूयस्ताभिर्मुदितमतिभिः त्वन्मयीभिर्वधूभिः तत्तद्वार्ता सरसमनयत् कानिचिद्वासराणि
भूयस्ताभिर्मुदितमतिभिः त्वन्मयीभिर्वधूभिः तत्तद्वार्ता सरसमनयत् कासिनिद्वासराणि.
कानिचित्, fourth line.
Okay, कानिचित् वासराणि. भूयस्ताभिर्मुदितमतिभिः त्वन्मयीभिर्वधूभिः तत्तद्वार्ता सरसमनयत् कानिचित् वासराणि.
Let's just switch. We're halfway through. Sujata Swaminathan, you can be student, and Sri Vidya, you can be student. stanza 8. त्वत्प्रोद्घानैः सहितमनिशं सर्वतो गेहकृत्यं त्वद्वार्तैव प्रसरति मितः सैव चोत्स्वापलापाः चेष्टाः प्राह्यस्त्वदनुकृतयः त्वन्मयं सर्वमेवं दृष्ट्वा तत्र व्यमुहदधिकं विस्मयात् उद्धवोऽयम्. So Uddhava lives there for several days, right? And then what Uddhava is noticing, right, is that any time and every time these gopikas are always talking about Krishna. So when they are actually doing their household chores, they're talking about Krishna. They talk about all the activities that Krishna used to do and about all the stories that they used to and how they used to interact. And when Uddhava used to walk, so they used to say, hey, here is where Krishna used to play. Here is where Krishna used to stand and play his flute. Here is where Krishna used to go and graze his cows. So everything in that entire region was always associated with what Krishna used to do, and all the stories and everything they used to do was always about what Krishna used to do. So Uddhava is kind of sitting there and thinking about how everything that Gopikas talk is they only talk about Krishna. And it says, even in the dreams they have are dreams of Krishna. The actions they imitate are how Krishna used to act, right? So there's some very nice different story, right? Not in Bhagavatam or this, which talks about this. I'll just say a small story. Of course, Narada, of course, is supreme most of devotees. There's no doubt about it. I don't think there is a devotee bigger than Narada, right? So sometimes when these stories are said, they compare Narada to somebody to show the extent of the devotion. That doesn't mean Narada is less of a devotee. So when I say the story, don't take it in the wrong way. So one day Narada goes and asks Narayana that, who is your biggest devotee? So because Narada is expecting Narayana to say, you are my biggest devotee, right? So Narayana says, no, there is another farmer, right, who's my biggest devotee. So Narada says, how is it possible, Narayana? I'm always talking about you. I'm always thinking about you. How can there be someone who's a bigger devotee than I am? So, and that farmer was just, farming, right? So Narayana then tells Narada, okay, I'm going to give you this pot of oil or water. He says, you see that mountain there, right? He says, yeah. He says, I want you to go around the mountain and not a drop of this water has to spill, and you have to carry it on your head. If you come, if a drop of water spills, that means your devotion to me is not strong enough, right? So Narada says, okay. And then he takes the pot of water and then he goes around. And then he comes back, not a drop of water spills. So Narada comes and says, look, I've come back, right? Not a drop of water has spilled here. So do you agree that I'm your biggest devotee? So Narayana then asked Narada, how many times did you say my name when you were walking around that? Narada says, what do you mean? Like, I'm supposed to focus on carrying this water on my head, right? Why will I be saying your name? He says, that is the difference. When the farmer out there is farming, he's saying my name all the time. He says, that is devotion. That is what these gopikas had. Right? A lot of us, we go, and I'm saying including me, right? We go about our work, we allocate time for prayers, we allocate time for doing different things, and we say we don't have time for these activities, right? Because I am so busy. He says, but Krishna says that is not what it is. That's what Uddhava is seeing. He's seeing that Krishna is embedded into the lives of the gopikas. They don't have a time allocated, right? So whether they're cooking, whether they're cleaning, whether they're sleeping, they're always thinking about Krishna. And that's what Uddhava is noticing, right? That's why Uddhava is staying back, right? That's why Krishna sent Uddhava here to notice that. So that is what is happening, that they're always happy talking about you and thinking about you. So Tvat Prodganaihi, Putta is Tvat Prodganais Sahitam Anisham, comma, Sarvato Geha Krityam, comma, Twadvartaiva Prasarati Mitaha, comma, Saiva Chotswapa Lapaha. Tvatprodganai Sahitam Sarvato Geha Krityam, Twadvartaiva Prasarati Mitaha, Saiva Chotswapa Lapaha.
कानैः सहितमनिशं सर्वदोगेह कृत्यं त्वद्वार्तैव प्रसरदिमितः सैव चोत्स्वापलापाः.
Chotswapalapaः. It Chotswapalapaः.
चोत्स्वापलापाः. द्वत्प्रोत् कानसैः सहित त्वत्प्रोद्गानैः सहितमनिसं सर्वदो गेहकृत्यं त्वत्वार्तैव प्रसरति मितः सैव चोत्स्वापलापाः
त्वत्प्रोद्घानैः सहितमनिशं सर्वधो गेहकृत्यं त्वत्वार्थैव प्रसरति मितः सैव सोत्स्वाभलापाः त्वत्प्रोद्घानैः सहितमनिशं सर्वदो गेहकृत्यं त्वत्वार्थैव प्रसरति मितः सैव चोत्स्वाफलापाः
चेष्टाः पुट F चेष्टाः प्रायस् त्वदनुकृतयः. So that is there, put a visarga comma, त्वदनुकृतयः त्वन्मयं सर्वमेवं comma दृष्ट्वा तत्र व्यमुहद् अधिकं comma विस्मयाद् उद्धवोऽयम्. चेष्टाः प्रायस्त्वदनुकृतयः त्वन्मयं सर्वमेवं दृष्ट्वा तत्र व्यमुहदधिकं विस्मयाद् उद्धवोऽयम्.
चेष्टाः प्रायस्त्वदनुकृतयः त्वन्मयं सर्वमेवं दृष्ट्वा तत्र मुहदधिकं
विस्मयाद् उद्धवोऽयम्.
विस्मयात् उद्धवोऽयम्. चेष्टाः प्रायस्त्वदनुकृतयः त्वन्मयं सर्वमेवं दृष्ट्वात्र व्यमुहदधिकं विस्मयात् उद्धवोऽयम्.
चेष्टाः प्रायस्त्वदनुकृतयः त्वन्मयं सर्वमेवं दृष्ट्वा तत्र विमुहदधिकं विस्मया उद्धवोऽयम्. चेष्टाः प्रायस्त्वदनुकृतयः त्वन्मयं सर्वमेवं दृष्ट्वा तत्र विमुहदधिकं विस्मया उद्धवोऽयम्.
विस्मयात् उद्धवोऽयम्. That's right. राधायां हे प्रियतममिदं मत्प्रियैवं ब्रवीति त्वं किं मौनं कलयसि सखे मानिनी मत्प्रियेव इत्यादेव प्रवदति सखी त्वत्प्रियो निर्जने माम् इत्थं वादैररमयदयं त्वत्प्रियाम् उत्पलाक्षीम्. So here talks about, like I think I said in one of the classes, I don't know if this batch or something batch, but Bhagavatam doesn't talk about Radha, but Narayaneeyam talks about Radha in a couple of instances, right? So here again, Uddhava is coming and telling Radha separately. He says, oh Radha, Krishna, when he's alone with me, right, he does talk about you a lot, right? He talks about how that when we come across something, he says, you know what, Uddhava, this is my favorite, Radha's most dearest thing. This is my Radha's favorite also. And then when somebody speaks in a particular way, he says, you know what, my Radha also speaks exactly the same way, right? And then sometimes when I'm quiet, Krishna comes and tells to me, why are you silent? Like, like Kalai says, okay, why are you silent and sad? Like how my friend Radha is sometimes. So similarly, when I'm alone, oh Radha, this Krishna comes and talks to me about you, all these, about you all the time. So this is how he's going and consoling Radha separately. So Radha Yame Priyatamamidam, comma, mat priyaivam braviti, short e, comma, tvam kim maunam kalayasi sakhe, comma, manini mat priyeva. Radhayam he priyatamamidam mat priyaivam braviti, tvam kim maunam kalayasi sakhe, manini mat priyeva.
राधाया मे प्रियतममितं मत्प्रियैवं प्रवीति त्वं किं मौनं कलयसि सखे Manani mat priyeva. Radhaya me priyatamamitam mat priyaivam praviti. Tvam kim maunam kalayasi sake. Manani mat priyeva.
Manini mat priyeva.
Manini mat priyeva.
राधाया मे प्रियतममितं मत्प्रियैवं प्रविति त्वं किं मौनं कलयसि सखे मानिनी मत्प्रियेव राधाया मे प्रियतममितं मत्प्रियैवं प्रवीति त्वं किं मौनं कलयसि सखे मानिनी मत्प्रियेव
Ityadhyeva pravadati sakhi, comma, Twatpriyo nirjane mam, put a im at the end of that line and comma, mam. Next line, the mittam becomes ittam. Ittam vadair aramayadayam. If you want to break it, the ra, you can break it. Vadair aramayadayam, comma, Twatpriyam utpalakshim. Ityadhyeva pravadati sakhi, Twatpriyo nirjane mam. Itham vadair aramayadayam. Twatpriyam utpalakshim.
Can you say it one more time, Rajeshri?
Okay. Ityadhyeva pravadati sakhi Twatpriyo nirjane mam Itham vadair aramayadayam Twatpriyam utpalakshim.
Aramadayam.
Aramayadayam.
Aramayadayam. Yeah, Aramayadayam. Tvatpriya. Okay.
Twatpriyam utpalakshim.
Idyatyeva pravadati saki tvatpriyo nirjane mam ittam vadair aramayadayam tvatpriyam udbalakshim. Idyatyeva pravadati saki tvatpriyo nirjane mam ittam vadair aramayadayam tvatpriyam udbalakshim.
इत्यात्येव प्रवदति सखी त्वत्प्रियो निर्जने माम् इत्थं वादैर् अरमयधयं त्वत्प्रियामुत्पलाक्षिम् इत्यात्येव प्रवदति सखी त्वत्प्रियो निर्जने माम् इत्थं वादैर् अरमयधं त्वत्प्रियामुत्पलाक्षिम्
Aramayadayam.
अरमयदयं त्वत्प्रियामुत्पलाक्षिम्.
That's it. Eshyamidrak anupagamam kevalam karyabharat vishleshepi smaranadridata sambhavan mastu khedah brahmanandhe milati nachirat sangamo vabriyogas-tulyo vasyaditi tapagira sokaro nirvyathastha. So now after Uddhava has stayed there for some time, it's now time for him to leave. So kind of he's giving his parting comments, and he realizes at this point that there's only so much he can tell, right? Because first of all, it's very difficult to change somebody, right? So here he just wraps up by saying, hey, look, Krishna's message always has been that he is going to come back to all of you. He just has a lot of other work that he has to take care of. Kevalam Karya Bharat. He has a lot of work to take care of, because of which he's not able to come. So that's the reason he had sent me. But again, remember one thing, Krishna, he's the supreme soul, and eventually when you attain liberation, you should, for you to be able to attain liberation, you should behave the same in sorrow, in grief, in sadness, happiness, all of those times. So again, he just wraps it up, although he knows that there's only so much impact his saying is going to have on them, right? So he just says that Krishna wants you to always keep thinking about him, and that's the most important thing. With that, Uddhava wraps up his stay at Vrindavan. Eshyami drak. So the ga that is there, we're going to break it, put a ik, ka, ik, and then comma, drak. Next word starts with a a. Anupagamanam kevalam karya bharat vishleshepi. So you're going to put a plus and say the next line together. So the next line, at least in Sanskrit, you have dvi. So we're going to break it. So Karyabharat it Vishleshepi Smarana Dridata Sambhavan Mastu Khedaha. So Eshyamidrak and then the rest of the lines together. Eshyamidrak Anupagamanam Kevalam Karyabharat Vishleshepi Smarana Dridata Sambhavan Mastu Khedaha.
एष्यामिद्राक् अनुपगमनं केवलं कार्यभाराद् विश्लेषेऽपि स्मरणदृढता सम्भवान् मास्तु केतः एष्यामिद्राक् अनुपगमनं केवलं कार्यभारात् विश्लेषेऽपि स्मरणदृढता सम्भवान् मास्तु केतः
येष्यामिद्राक् अनुपगमनं केवलं कार्यभारात् विश्लेषेऽपि स्मरणदृढता सम्भवान् मास्तु केतः येष्यामिद्राक् अनुपगमनं केवलं कार्यभारात् विश्लेषेऽपि स्मरणदृढता सम्भवान् मास्तु केतः
Brahmanande Milati Nachirat, comma Sangamo va Viyogas. So put a plus again at the end of that line. The is from the next line comes to this. Viyogas Tulyo Vaha, put a is again. Vas Syaditi Tava Gira. Then a comma. So one comma after Nachirat in the third line. One comma after Tava Gira, comma. So Karun Nirvyathastaha. Brahmanandhe milati nachirat Sangamo va viyogastulyo vasyaditi tavagira sokaron nirvyathasthaha.
ब्रह्मानन्दे मिलति न चिरात् सङ्गमो वा वियोगस्तुल्यो वस्यादिति दवगिरा सोकरोन् निर्व्यतास्ताः ब्रह्मानन्दे मिलति न चिरात् सङ्गमो वा वियोगस्तुल्यो वस्यादितवकिरा सोकरो निर्व्यदास्ताः
ब्रह्मानन्दे मिलति न चिरात् सङ्गमो वा वियोगस्तुल्यो वस्यादितवकिरा निर्व्यतास्ताः ब्रह्मानन्दे मिलति न चिरात् सङ्गमो वा वियोगस्तुल्यो वस्यादितवकिरा सोकरोन् निर्व्यतास्ताः.
Stanza 11. This one is a very nice stanza, and you should kind of remember the first two lines at least, right? If you can memorize it. Evam bhakti sakala bhuvane nekshita nashruta va kim shastraughaihi kimiha tapasa gopikabhyo namostu ityananda kulamupagatam gokulad uddhavam tam drishtva hristo gurupurapate pahi mamha mayoghat. I just want to chant one stanza from Bhagavatam where this stanza, this two lines appears, right? So this is for those who want to follow. It's Dashama Skandam, the 10th canto. It's the 47th chapter, 58th stanza. Etaf param tanubruto bhuvi gopavadvo govinda eva nikilatmani rudha bhavaha vanchanti yad bhavabiyo munayo vayam cha Kim Brahma Janma Birananta Katharasasya. So Uddhava he comes back to Krishna, he comes back to Mathura, and then tells Krishna, right, that I'll tell the Narayaneeyam meaning, then I'll say the Bhagavatam meaning. It says, Evam Bhakti, this kind of devotion, Sakala Bhuvane, this entire world, Nekshita na Shruta. Nekshita means I have not seen, nor have I heard about this kind of devotion. He says, Kim Shastrogaihi. He says, what is the purpose of all these Vedic scriptures? Kimiha Tapasa, all the penance that all these sages do. He says, all of those are nothing compared to the devotion that the Gopikas have. So he says, Gopikabhyo namostu. He says, my namaskarams to the Gopikas. Because they have, and then, he says about that, and then in Bhagavatam, when the stanza I read, it talks about how, amongst all of us have taken a material body. So this material body gives you an ability to discriminate doing what is good and what is not good, right? We have that ability to do it. But he says not everybody puts the body to good use, because you can misuse your body and it can go into ruins. He says amongst everybody in this world, only the Gopikas have put their bodies to use in the right way. Because what they have done is they have completely dedicated their life for exclusive devotion to Lord Krishna. And that's all they actually talk about. That's all they actually do. And he talks about how amazing is that this very, very simple, ordinary people who are cowherds, who don't understand anything. So because when Uddhava tries to explain knowledge to them, right, it just falls in deaf ears to this Gopikas, right? They don't care about any of this knowledge. They don't care about anything. All they believe is in complete devotion to Lord Krishna. And he says this kind of thing, it's impossible for anybody else to attain. So, and they say they're truly blessed. And he says, and they are the embodiment of devotion in this world. So that is how Uddhava comes. And then he comes to Krishna and says, Krishna, now I understand why you decided to send me to Vrindavan. Right? Is because you wanted me to learn a lesson of what devotion is. And the devotion has to be unconditional. It cannot be, even if you are praying all the time and nobody appreciates you, it shouldn't matter, right? Because you're not praying for somebody's appreciation, right? And at the same time, the other big lesson in this time is it's not about just praying at some time, it's about whether you're constantly thinking, and that's the supreme devotion. And that's the lesson that the Gopikas taught to Uddhava, and that's what Uddhava learned. And then finally he comes back to Krishna, and then he says, I learned this lesson, right? So that is the essence of this story, right, of the devotion of the Gopikas. So evam bhaktihi, putta is bhaktis sakala bhuvane nekshita na shrutava, comma, kim shastraugaihi, comma, kimiha tapasa, comma, gopikabhyo namostu. Evam bhaktis sakala bhuvane nekshita na shrutava, kim shastraugaihi, kimiha tapasa, gopikabhyo namostu.
Evam bhakti sakala bhuvane nekshita nasruta va kim sastraukaihi kimiha tapasa gopikabhyo namostu. Evam bhakti sakala bhuvane nekshita nasruta va kim sastraukaihi kimiha tapasa gopikabhyo namostu.
Evam bhakti sakala bhuvane nekshita na shrutava kim sastraugaihi kimiha tapasa gopikabhyo namostu. Evam bhakti sakala bhuvane nekshita na shrutava kim sastraugaihi kimiha tapasa gopikabhyo namostu.
Sorry, some great question. Ityanandakulam upagatam, comma, Gokulad uddhavam tam, comma, drishtva hristo guru purapate, comma, pahi mama mayoghat. Ityanandakulam upagatam Gokulad uddhavam tam drishtva hristo guru purapate pahi mama mayoghat.
Ityananda kulam upakatham gokulat uddhavam दुत्थवं तं दृष्ट्वा हृष्टो गुरुपुरपते पाहि मामौ का
Mamamayoghat.
मामा मयौघात् इत्यानन्दाकुलम् उपगतं गोकुलादुत्थवं तं दृष्ट्वा हृष्टो कुरपुरपते पाहि मामयौघात्
Mamamayoghat.
पाहि मामयौघात्
इत्यानन्दाकुलमुपगतं गोकुलादुत्तमं तं दृष्ट्वा हृष्टो गुरुपुरपते पाहि मामयौघात् इत्यानन्दाकुलमुपगतं गोकुलादुत्तमं तं दृष्ट्वा हृष्टो गुरुपुरपते पाहि मामयौघात्.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. We'll just do quickly 2 stanzas of 79 and then we'll stop today. I'll tell the meaning of the chapter next time. So if you move to 79, Rukmini Parinaya Varnanam. So wedding of Krishna and Rukmini. बलसमेत बलानुगतो भवान् पुरमगाहत भीष्मकमानितः द्विजसुतं त्वदुपागमवादिनं धृतरसा तरसा प्रणनामसा बलसमेत बलानुगतो भवान् पुरमगाहत भीष्मकमानितः द्विजसुतं त्वदुपागमवादिनं धृतरसा तरसा प्रणनाम सा बलसमेत बलानुगतो भवान् पुरमगाहत भीष्मकमानितः द्विजसुतं त्वदुपागमवादिनं धृतरसा तरसा प्रणनाम सा
फलसमेद फलानुकदो भवान् पुरमगाहत भीष्मगमानितः द्विजसुधं त्वतु भागमवादिनं दृदरसा प्रणमानसा प्रणनामसा बलसमेद बलानुकदो भवान् पुरगमा हत भीष्मगमानितः द्विजसुधं द्वतु भागमवादिनं हृदरसा प्रणनामसा
बलसमेत बलानुगदो भवान् पुरमगाहत भीष्मगमानितः द्विजसुतं द्वतु भागमवादिनं धृतरसा प्रणनामसा बलसमेत बलानुगदो भवान् पुरमगाहत भीष्मगमानितः द्विजसुतं द्वतु भागमवादिनं धृतरसा प्रणनामसा
भुवन कांतमवेक्ष्य bhavat vapuhu, put a visarga comma, bhavat vapuhu. Next line on top of the nripa, there is a ir that goes away. Nripa sutasya nishamya cha cheshtitam vipula kheda jusham puravasinam, comma, saruditair uditair agamanisha. So the ra, we're going to break it in 2 places. Saruditair uditair agamanisha. भुवनकान्तमवेक्ष्य भवत्वपुः नृपसुतस्य निशम्य च चेष्टितं विपुलखेदजुषां पुरवासिनां सरुदितैरुदितैरगमन्निशा.
Sorry, one more time.
Sure. भुवनकान्तमवेक्ष्य भवत्वपुः नृपसुतस्य निशम्य च चेष्टितं विपुलखेदजुषां पुरवासिनां सरुदितैरुदितैरगमन्निशा
भुवनकान्तमवेक्ष्य भवद्वपुः नृपसुदस्य निशम्य च चेष्टितं विपुलकेतजुषां पुरवासिनां सरुतिदैरुरुतिदैरगमन्निशा भुवनकान्तमवेक्ष्य भवद्वपुः नृपसुदस्य निशम्य च चेष्टितं विपुलकेतजुषां पुरवासिनां सरुदितैरुदितैरगमन्निशा
भुवनकान्तमवेक्ष्य भवद्वपुः नृपसुदस्य निशम्य चेष्टितं विपुलकेतजुषां पुरवासिनां सरुदितैरुदितैरगमन्निशा भुवनकान्तमवेक्ष्य भवद्वपुः नृपसुदस्य निशम्य चेष्टितं विपुलखेदजुषां पुरवासिनां सरुदितैरुदितैरगमन्निशा.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. And the class here. Sandhranandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadebhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurushartatmakam brahmatattvam tattavad bhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bye.
Rajesh ji.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.